To the next sessions. So in these sections, we're gonna study in creating the iOS project and really get hands on the codings and shows you how to build the Monster Maker NFT first. And then in the next sessions, we're gonna talk about how to link in with your wallet and also how to do the mintings afterwards. But in these sessions, we are gonna talk about the native UI ideas, like how to implement that. Okay, so let's get quickly started with. So when you downloading Xcode 1.4.2, the latest one, and you can click the creating the project. In here, you can select for iOS. If you want to create a Mac OS, that's fine too. But in here, we just simplify that to the iOS project. So in here we created the Monster Maker 2, and since we already have one in there already, and we're just gonna create 2 for that, and we can open the original ones side by side as a reference. And so the original one that you can find that on the GitHub in github.com/onflow/monstermakers. Basically in here that you will be able to find this iOS project on the hood. And also before this session start with, I also suggest you to download the assets under the assets folders, the monster assets, those zip files, and that's we're gonna using that later on. Okay, cool. And that's the once we open the app, and that's the SwiftUI, the new structures. And basically that one, if you're familiar with web development, that's gonna be kind of like your JS code, right? Your HTML, and in the right hand side is your browser. If you change anything, they're gonna update that dynamically. Let's say like hello monsters, that's been changed. And so in our sessions, so first things we need to start with is the assets. You're going to download it. So the assets, monster assets, you download that. Once that's been downloaded, and we need to drag that in. Like how to put that in is you put that files into it and close the folders. And basically these folders will containing all those monsters pieces that you need for the UI part, for the background, and for the legs, and also for the tools as well. So we can rename that as a monster assets. Okay, cool. Back into our view. In these views, first of all, we will replicate it, like how to create these monsters using these images. Okay. And how to do that? Very easy. So we have image in here. So this image, we just need to find a name for those images. This was background 1. This was monster head 1. And we have monster tools and legs as well. Okay. So remember the names, and we need to background 1. That's gonna be loaded background 1. If we background 2, that's gonna be background 2. Easy. All right. Gonna load next images. Next image was the monster head 1, and I'm gonna copy paste, and we're gonna load other legs, and that's the torso. And we can't see the bottom of that. Let's change into that score views first. And okay, the legs is not loaded. Maybe we're missing the S. Okay, yeah, that's all loaded. But you can see right now everything was not in vertical directions, and how to put them together. It's very simple actually. You're just changing the container of those images into Z-stack. The Z-stack, which representing for the Z X. So once you putting that to the Z-stack, as you can see, everything's right now is fit quite well. That's the monsters, that's the background, and that's your bodies. Okay, so here the question, since right now all our monsters we are changing. Yeah, so when we change the index, the head we change that to 5, the body we change to 6, and maybe the legs we change to 11s, and background we maybe change to 8, right? That's gonna all reflecting. But how we can make that dynamic? And make that dynamic, we have to, first of all, we have creating a data model for that. As we know, like right now the NFT data task force creating with 4 different parts. You have legs, you have heads, and you have torso, and also you have the background, right? And instead of that, what else we have? We also need one thing for that is the index. We don't have the NFT index. So for that one, actually, we can refer to, if you have the downloaded mature code, you will look at the NFT local images. And we can refer to those 2 parts. Those parts we can copy and paste. And we copy and paste on that. Yeah, basically that's the idea that we are just talking about. The 4 part, and also we have the local data that's we're representing for the index. And also we have the local images that are representing for those images value on that. Okay. It might looks a bit ugly in here, so I'm gonna create a new files and then put them in there. So we just gonna be creating new files, the NFT logo images, or you can just drag that. But in here, we're just gonna create on that. Cool. Once we have these kind of things, we need to have a data values, and that's what have the NFT data, the NFT local data, right? And that NFT local data, which you will need to initialize that. The background, maybe we can take that as a 5 and 6, 7, and 8. And one thing we might be noticed here, we have the entrance of the app, but right now, since we're using previews, we can temporarily disable that, change that to the temporary use. We don't need to bother. And okay, so right now we have the data for this view, but however we need to apply the data. Let's say this was background, and this one was the data dot head, and that's the data dot torso, that's the data dot legs, right? Cool. And that's our monsters. And as you can see, it's kind of simple, very easy, just few line of things, and this kind of works. But however, when we look at the original design, we need to modify these kind of things. How we can change that, how we can put them, once we click on these arrows, the monster, they got changed. And we're gonna jumping back to this part. Okay, so right now, if you were changing everything in one single part, that might be too much. So what about we just changing a head? Okay, we can create new files. We can call that the NFT maybe component view. In this component view, we could have first we show an image, and that image gonna be our background, right? We take a background as the easiest one, and also we gonna add in those buttons. So we have those buttons in here, and let's add those buttons. So in here we can find those buttons in the UI sessions. So we have left and right. Okay, there we have left and right. We have the jumping back to our code, and we're gonna adding a buttons in here. So edge stack, horizontal stack, and we put the middle, and then we need the buttons for that. And the buttons, the buttons right now is, it's kind of maybe you can say this is left, and this button could be the right, the right button. Maybe right now we don't put anything there, and we can put a current index. The index at the beginning we put that as 0, and that's the index. No, it's starting from 1. That's the right one. And then when we put the index to, when we click left, then the index should be -1. Although right now we have the issue of out of range, but just a basic idea. We're gonna fix that one step by step. Okay, so we have the right button and left buttons. So when we click on the left and right one, right now it doesn't reflect any changes. So what happens? And what happened is we need adding a state class in state wrappers on this. Oh, okay, sorry. I will put that in the wrong places. It should be here. Okay, so once we have the index and we have the index in here, so when we click on the right, it's reflecting changes. So if you don't have the state, that will be the problem. Yeah, so cool. So once we have the state, once we change the index, actually we know that something was being changed. And also we're gonna replacing this part with our buttons, and the buttons should be labels in image. We have the right arrow. Also we have the this one for that as well. Change a bit. Okay, right now we didn't see that because that might be too large to see, so we might need to have like resizable and then scale to fit. And let's just apply that to both images we have in here. And holiday is not showing. Let's see whether you put the wrong name or not. Okay, that's the right arrows, and that should be the left arrows. Yeah, so right now as you can see that might be too large, so we can resize it. The width might gonna be 20, and we're gonna apply that to here as well. 20 might be too small, like 50 probably. Do it 50. Okay, so in here we have the 50s for that. And then the images, we have index for that. But for this one, we're gonna pass in title to NFT, and the images we need to give in NFT local image dot, maybe this one we get that to hats. Cool, and then the hats will shows up. The heads will shows up, and then what are we gonna do for the other part? Maybe you can do the same thing. Remember as what we did for the for origin NFTs, right? We have you can put a background in here, and then we put our torso, we put our legs in here. Okay, and then every time we click on that, the legs got changed. But however, other not change. So why? Because all those buttons right now is overlapping to 1, and seems lag is the last one, so that's why you can see only the lags were changed. And so to implementing that, so we can you can refer to the original one. We call that component view. In that component views, basically we will have like different positions for that, and basically what that one does, like if that one was coming from different positions, and you will see actually the part of that going to be changed. Okay, that's the NFT component views. Also, once we have that, we're gonna creating a new sessions. That's gonna be the maker views. The maker views, yeah, is what we're talking about. It's gonna be something in here. And the maker views, so first of all, it's going to be a VStack, and inside of the VStack, we also going to add in the background for that. And the background, as we know, that's going to be a gradient background. So for gradient background, we can add in a gradient background for it. Let me just copy paste what we have for that. Text. Okay, maybe just put in text in here. See. Max width to infinite, and also I can put in a frame that to the max height to infinite as well. Cool, and then here we go. Then we have the we have full screen there, and then we're gonna building the screens, and with the first of all we're gonna have the image, the logo, and resizable. It's going to fit, and we're adding a frame for that. That's height gonna be, let's say it's 20. That's too small. 50. Okay, that looks good. And we have like spacer to put that on the top. Put that in the top, and then we will have one of that gonna be the component view. Okay, that's gonna be the can have background, we can have torso, and we can have legs. Okay, put the background on the bottom, and we also need that one spacer in here as well, so push that one in the middle. And then we need okay, we need a background. and that background is going to be the image, and that's going to be the button bar. Okay, button bar, and that's going to be a zigzag too. Seems that one we're going to use also for another one. The other one was the minting bar mint. Okay, we need to alignment that one to the bottom, and we have to ignore the save size. Okay, we're gonna fix the head later on. For that one, right now we can simply just gonna put padding and top. Maybe let's do like 50 or something. Yeah, it's gonna work. Yeah. So right now, as you can see, the NFTs is almost there, but however, we have running little bit problems with the resizing. So for that part, what we can do is maybe we can add in one extra parameters called offset. The offset will be a CG float, and once we have that, then we're gonna apply that to in here. That's gonna be the offset, and gonna be the CG size for which should be 0. And that's the offset. Going to be horizontal offset for that. And same as this one. And what we can do for this size, let's say the background can be, let's say it's like -20. And then by default, that one might be 0. The head gonna be maybe -10, and the bodies the legs, let's say it's gonna be 20, and we might need to apply okay, that's not enough, so let's put like 80, and this one gonna be 40, and this gonna be like 50, right? This gonna be 80 maybe as well. This one might gonna be like 90, and in the middle of that we're gonna have the offset. The offset's gonna be, this one might be like 10, 20. Yeah, so right now, once we add in the offset of that, you can see that's going to be changing the background, that's changing the head, that changing the bodies, and that changing the legs as well. But you might notice right now the sizes, they not really that fit. So what we can do on that, the way we can do that is as you might know, for each part of the elements for the NFTs is the size is a bit different. If we look at the component itself, asset itself, that you will see interesting part. So for background with like 320s and times 320s, but for other part was like 258 56, and all are 256. And so let's just do a simple calculation here. So 256, and then divide by 320, and that's what 0.8. So what that one does, that's what means, like all these images right now inside of that should just shrinking to 0.8, and but only the other ones shouldn't have. So what we can have an index in here is like is background. If that is background, we do a special handling for that. If no, default is false. If that default is false, and if that was true, like scroll effect, it's gonna be the siege size it and 0.8 or 0.8, and only the if that is background, then we didn't shrink. The only not the background, we do that. If we do so, let's wait and see. And yeah, and here we give it the background, and that's the background is background. This one should be true, right? Other one shouldn't be a background. And the only difference is like we might change the background in here with different place. Yeah, there we go. As you can see, right now it looks good. It's becoming fit, and then we can copy paste that into our Maker API. In our Maker APIs, in here, basically that's what you're gonna do. Okay. Thanks for watching, and that's what I want to talking about in these sessions. And so in next sessions, we're gonna hands on how to do the minting and how to connect to your wallet. Okay, cool. And thanks for watching, and that's my see you in the next sessions.